What if the difference between where you are and where you want to be is simply the way you think? Success isn't just about talent, timing, or even hard work. It begins with mindset. Your thoughts shape your actions, your decisions, and ultimately, your destiny. This audiobook is not about quick hacks or shortcuts. It's about mastering the one thing that drives every result in your life, your mind. Mindset is the silent architect behind every success story. It's what separates those who rise after failure from those who give up. It's the force that keeps you focused, resilient, and intentional, even when no one is watching. Too often we credit success to luck, background, or raw talent. But time and again, history proves otherwise. Ordinary people with extraordinary mindsets have moved mountains, rewritten the odds, and built legacies, not because they had more, but because they believed more and disciplined their minds to act with purpose. In this journey, you'll explore the hidden mental habits of high performers, the power of belief, emotional discipline, focus, and more. This is your blueprint for transforming your inner world so your outer world can follow. Welcome to the secret weapon behind success. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Mindset Shift that changes everything. The first step to mastering your life is mastering how you think about growth, potential, and failure. And one of the most powerful shifts you can make is moving from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. This isn't just a self-help buzzword, it's a foundational concept backed by research, most notably by psychologist Carol Dweck, whose studies revealed that our beliefs about our own abilities deeply influence how we live, learn, and lead. A fixed mindset believes abilities are static. You're either good at something or you're not. Intelligence is fixed. Talent is innate. If you fail, it's a reflection of who you are at your core. This mindset breeds fear, perfectionism, and avoidance. People with a fixed mindset often avoid challenges, give up easily, and feel threatened by the success of others because they believe success is reserved for the naturally gifted. In contrast, a growth mindset sees ability as something that can be developed. It thrives on challenge and views failure as a stepping stone. The growth-minded individual understands that mastery is a process, not a label. They believe effort is what drives improvement. With this outlook, life becomes a canvas for constant development rather than a scoreboard of who's ahead and who's behind. Consider the story of Thomas Edison, who failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. When asked how it felt to fail so often, he famously replied, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That is the language of a growth mindset. Edison didn't view failure as a personal flaw, but as feedback, a necessary part of innovation. Another example is Michael Jordan, widely considered one of the greatest basketball players of all time. What many people forget is that he was cut from his high school basketball team. Rather than accept that as a verdict on his potential, he trained harder, using rejection as fuel. He later stated, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed." These stories remind us of an essential truth. Belief alone doesn't magically deliver success, but it radically influences what you do, and what you do, repeatedly, is what shapes your reality. When you shift into a growth mindset, the entire landscape of life begins to change. You stop fearing failure and start seeking feedback. You stop comparing yourself to others and begin competing with your past self. You understand that your brain is adaptable, your skills are expandable, and your limits are often imagined. This opens doors you didn't even know existed. Think about your own life. How often have you said, "I'm just not good at math," or "I'm not creative," or "I could never start a business"? These statements aren't reflections of reality. They're beliefs you've chosen to adopt, and beliefs can be changed. When you say, "I'm not good at this yet," you open up a window to growth. That single word "yet" creates a powerful shift in your narrative. A growth mindset doesn't mean pretending you're great at everything. It means being willing to get better. It means you choose learning over ego and progress over perfection. And that mindset shift, while subtle, can change the trajectory of your life. It also transforms how you handle adversity. Life will test you. You will encounter obstacles. But with a fixed mindset, these trials feel like dead ends. With a growth mindset, they become detours, opportunities to become stronger, smarter, more strategic. Even in everyday moments, this shift can have massive ripple effects. A fixed mindset tells you to avoid the gym because you're not in shape. A growth mindset tells you to go to the gym because you're not in shape. Yet, a fixed mindset avoids feedback because it feels like judgment. A growth mindset welcomes feedback because it sees it as a tool for growth. The good news: mindsets are not permanent. You can choose, moment by moment, how to respond. You can train your mind to default to growth, just as you train muscles at the gym. The more you do it, the stronger it becomes. In this chapter, you've begun to see the power of belief, not as wishful thinking, but as a force that shapes action, grit, and identity. The moment you decide that who you are is not fixed, your future becomes fluid. You no longer live in a box, defined by past outcomes. You begin living in a world defined by possibility. And that possibility, it begins with a mindset shift, one that changes everything. Chapter 2. Programming your inner voice. Your mindset is shaped not just by what happens around you, but more importantly, by what happens within you, especially the voice you hear the most, your own. This voice, often subtle and automatic, narrates your experiences, labels your worth, and influences every decision you make. That's the power of self-talk. And whether you realize it or not, your inner dialogue is programming your beliefs, actions, and ultimately, your results. Self-talk is the ongoing conversation you have with yourself. It can be your biggest ally or your worst enemy. Positive, constructive self-talk can build confidence, resilience, and focus. Negative self-talk, on the other hand, can erode your self-worth, breed self-doubt, and paralyze progress before it even begins. Think of it like this: you live with your inner voice 24/7. If that voice constantly tells you, "I can't," "I'm not enough," or "why bother?" those beliefs quietly become the filters through which you view the world. You begin to act in ways that confirm those beliefs, even when they're not true. This is why silencing the inner critic and learning to speak to yourself like a coach, not a bully, is one of the most life-changing skills you can develop. The inner critic thrives on fear, shame, and comparison. It exaggerates your flaws, dismisses your wins, and constantly questions your worth. But here's the truth: that voice isn't you. It's a learned pattern, often inherited from past experiences, criticism, or failures, and it can be unlearned. The goal isn't to silence all inner voices, but to change the tone. Instead of letting your mind run on autopilot, you start becoming intentional about the messages you feed it. You become your own supportive inner coach, someone who encourages, challenges, and uplifts you when things get hard. A coach doesn't lie to you or sugarcoat the truth, but they believe in your ability to grow, adapt, and overcome. So how do you begin shifting your self-talk? Start by becoming aware. Most negative self-talk is subconscious. It happens quickly, quietly, and without resistance. Begin to catch those moments when your inner voice says, "I'm not good at this," or "I always mess up," or I'll never figure it out. Don't judge them, just notice them. Then challenge the thought. Ask, is this really true, or is it just an old story I've been telling myself? What would I say to a friend in this situation? Often you'll find the inner critic is based on outdated fears, not facts. Next, reframe the thought. Instead of "I can't do this," say "This is hard, but I can learn." Instead of "I failed," say "This is feedback, I'm growing." A powerful shift happens when you move from judgment to curiosity, from defeat to progress. These small shifts may seem subtle, but over time they rewire your mental patterns. You can also use intentional affirmations, not cheesy mantras, but specific, believable statements that reinforce your growth. For example, "I am capable of learning new things. I can figure this out one step at a time. I am not my mistakes. I am my effort." These are not about pretending to be fearless. They're about becoming mentally resilient enough to move forward, even when fear is present. Another practice is journaling your self-talk. Write down recurring negative thoughts and reframe them in your own words. Over time, you'll begin to see patterns and realize how many of your limits are mental, not real. Finally, treat yourself with the same compassion you offer others. You would never speak to your closest friend the way you sometimes speak to yourself. Why give yourself less kindness? Programming your inner voice isn't about being blindly positive. It's about being powerfully honest, supportive, and forward-focused. When your mind becomes a safe place, your potential becomes limitless. Master this voice, and you'll find that your outer world begins to mirror your inner growth. Your thoughts are not just commentary, they are commands. Speak wisely, speak kindly, speak with belief. Chapter 3. The Power of Belief. Belief is not wishful thinking, it's the invisible force that determines how far you're willing to go, how hard you're willing to fight, and whether you'll stand back up after you fall. Belief shapes your identity, guides your decisions, and ultimately builds your reality. In the journey to success, mindset is the engine, but belief is the fuel. What you believe about yourself, your potential, and your future determines everything. If you believe you're not smart enough, you won't even try to solve hard problems. If you believe success is for other people, you'll never fully commit to your own dreams. On the other hand, if you believe you're capable of learning, growing, and overcoming, even when there's no evidence yet, you'll do the one thing that separates winners from wishers: you'll act. Belief drives behavior, and behavior shapes outcome. And the most fascinating thing, belief can create results before evidence even exists. That's not magic, it's mindset in motion. Take the placebo effect. In countless studies, people given sugar pills, told they're receiving real medicine, experience real healing. Why? Because their belief in the treatment triggers physiological responses in the brain and body. Their mind convinces the body to begin healing, even without any actual medicine. If belief can alter your biology, imagine what it can do to your future. Athletes have long harnessed this power through visualization, the mental rehearsal of success before it happens. Olympic gold medalists like Michael Phelps used visualization to train not just the body, but the mind. Before every race, he would mentally walk through every stroke, every turn, every challenge, so vividly that by the time he hit the water, his mind had already experienced winning. This gave him confidence, focus, and calm under pressure, because in his mind, he'd already succeeded. Entrepreneurs and creatives use belief to defy odds every day. Jim Carrey is a perfect example. Before he was famous, when he was broke and struggling in Los Angeles, he wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, dated it for Thanksgiving 1995. He carried it in his wallet for years, as a reminder of where he was going. In 1994, just before that self-imposed deadline, he landed a role in Dumb and Dumber that paid him exactly $10 million. Was it the check that made it happen? No, it was the belief behind it. Jim didn't just hope he'd succeed, he trained his brain to expect it. That belief shaped his decisions, his perseverance, and his energy. And that's the key difference. Belief turns distant dreams into focused direction. So how do you build this kind of belief in yourself, especially when you're surrounded by doubt, failure, or fear? First, understand that belief is not something you have or don't have. It's something you build, like a muscle, and like any muscle, it strengthens through repetition, challenge, and recovery. You don't have to believe in the whole mountain, you just have to believe in your next step. Start by looking for proof from your past. You've overcome things you once thought were impossible. You've grown in ways your younger self would be proud of. List those wins, recall those moments. They're not small, they're evidence. Use them to remind yourself, if I did that, I can do this. Next, speak to yourself like someone who believes in you. This isn't about blind positivity. It's about intentional, honest affirmation. Say things like, I've figured things out before, I'll figure this out too. Every expert was once a beginner, so was I. I don't need all the answers, just enough courage to take the next step. This inner dialogue builds emotional stability. Over time, it shapes a new identity, one where you see yourself as capable, adaptable, and worthy of success. Another powerful tool is visualization. Close your eyes and picture your best self. Imagine yourself showing up with confidence, finishing what you started, overcoming resistance, standing in victory. See the details, your posture, your energy, your words. Feel what it's like to have already become that version of you. The more vivid the image, the more your subconscious mind begins to accept it as reality. And then, of course, take action. Belief without action is fantasy. But belief combined with small, consistent effort is transformation. Every time you act in alignment with belief, you prove to yourself that you're becoming that person. Confidence compounds. When things go wrong, and they will, don't let doubt undo you. Let it remind you to recommit. Belief is not the absence of fear, it's the refusal to let fear dictate your limits. Ultimately, belief is a decision, not a guarantee of success, but a commitment to keep showing up even when success isn't guaranteed. That decision, made daily, changes everything. Believe before you see, and eventually, you'll see what you once believed. That's the power of belief. Chapter 4. Emotional discipline equals mental strength. In the pursuit of success, most people focus on strategy, skill, or productivity. But those who consistently win, those who rise when others crumble, have something deeper. Emotional discipline. This is the ability to remain calm when everything around you is chaotic, to choose your response instead of being ruled by reaction, and to stay grounded when pressure rises. Emotional control isn't just a soft skill, it's a success superpower. Life will test you. Deadlines will pile up. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. And in those moments, the difference between those who spiral and those who stay steady is not talent, it's how well they manage their emotional state. When you learn to control your emotions, you unlock a level of inner power that influences every area of your life, your relationships, your performance, and even your physical health. The truth is, emotions are not the enemy, they're signals, not stop signs. But when you react instead of respond, you give them control. Fear makes you play small. Anger clouds your judgment. Anxiety keeps you stuck. Success requires that you feel those emotions, but don't become them. Staying calm under pressure is not about pretending everything's okay. It's about regulating your emotional state so you can think clearly, act deliberately, and keep moving forward. The people who rise to the top in high-stress environments, whether in sports, business, or crisis, aren't the ones who feel nothing. They're the ones who have trained themselves to pause, breathe, and lead from a place of clarity. So how do you develop emotional discipline? It starts with awareness. You can't manage what you don't notice. Begin by tuning into your emotional triggers. What situations make you feel defensive, overwhelmed, or reactive? Once you recognize the pattern, you can create space between stimulus and response. That space is where power lives. One of the simplest yet most powerful tools for creating that space is meditation. It's not about sitting in silence for hours. Even 5 to 10 minutes a day can train your brain to observe thoughts without attaching to them. Meditation teaches you to witness emotions, instead of being swept away by them. Over time, this builds mental stillness and emotional stability. Another tool is breath work. Your breath is the fastest way to shift your emotional state. When you're anxious, your breathing becomes shallow and rapid. When you slow your breath, especially with deep belly breaths, you signal safety to your nervous system. A simple technique, like box breathing, inhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 4, exhaling for 4 and holding again, can calm your body in under a minute. This isn't just relaxation. It's training your nervous system to stay regulated under pressure. Emotional journaling is also a powerful way to process and redirect your feelings. Instead of letting emotions stew in your mind, write them down. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What triggered this feeling? Is this emotion based on fact or fear? What can I control in this situation? This practice helps you break out of emotional autopilot. Over time, you start responding to life with thoughtfulness, instead of knee-jerk reactions. Journaling gives your emotions a safe space to land, which reduces emotional buildup and increases self-understanding. Discipline doesn't mean suppression. The goal isn't to bury your emotions, it's to lead them. Let your feelings inform you, not control you. You can feel anger without lashing out. You can feel fear without freezing. Emotional strength is not about being emotionless. It's about choosing your response with intention. Emotional discipline also fuels mental toughness. When you don't crumble under emotional weight, you gain the ability to persevere through challenges that break others. You can keep your vision clear, even when the path gets muddy. That level of composure is what leaders, creators, and top performers are made of. Remember, anyone can be calm when life is easy. True strength is staying calm when life is not. That calm is built, moment by moment, through practice and presence. Success is rarely just about what you do. It's about how you feel while doing it, and whether your emotions work for you or against you. When you master your emotional state, you master your focus, your decisions, and ultimately your future. Train your emotions, and they'll stop being your obstacle and start becoming your advantage. Chapter 5. Focus. The hidden currency of greatness. In a world obsessed with speed, information, and multitasking, there's one trait that separates those who merely stay busy from those who build legacies. Focus. Focus is the hidden currency of greatness. It's not loud, glamorous, or flashy, but it's rare, and because it's rare, it's powerful. Every day you're bombarded with distractions, notifications, emails, breaking news, endless scrolling, and the noise of other people's lives. These things don't just waste time, they fracture attention. And attention is your most valuable resource. Where your attention goes, your energy flows, and where your energy flows, results grow. Greatness doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from doing a few things exceptionally well, that requires the discipline to eliminate the unnecessary, so you can double down on the essential. No one embodied this more than Steve Jobs, the visionary co-founder of Apple. He was famously obsessed with focus. At one point, Apple was working on dozens of different product ideas. When Jobs returned to the company, he slashed 70% of them, declaring that Apple would only pour its energy into the few products that truly mattered. His philosophy was simple. People think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on. But that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas that there are. That's the essence of high-level focus. Not just doing more, but doing less, better. So how do you develop this kind of deep, undistracted focus in a world that seems designed to break it? It starts with understanding that focus is a skill, not a personality trait. You're not born with it. You train it. Like a muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it gets. But if you let it atrophy, through endless distractions and shallow attention, it weakens over time. The first step to training your focus is to eliminate distractions at the root. This means designing an environment that supports attention instead of sabotaging it. Your phone, your open browser tabs, and even the layout of your workspace are silently shaping your ability to concentrate. Create digital boundaries. Turn off non-essential notifications. Use Do Not Disturb modes. Try app blockers like Freedom or Cold Turkey to prevent access to social media during focused work sessions. Better yet, schedule specific no-screen hours during your day, times when your phone is out of reach and your mind is fully present. Next, build daily rituals that protect and prioritize your focus. Start your day with clarity, not chaos. Before you dive into email or social media, ask yourself, what are the 1-2 most important things I need to do today? Then block time to work on those without interruption. This is known as time blocking, and it's one of the most effective productivity habits used by top performers, from CEOs to elite athletes. Another powerful technique is the Pomodoro method. Work for 25 minutes with full focus, then take a 5-minute break. After 4 cycles, take a longer break. This method trains your brain to focus in bursts, making it easier to resist fatigue and distraction. But deep focus isn't just about eliminating distractions. It's about entering a state of flow where time seems to disappear and your mind is fully immersed in the task at hand. Flow happens when challenge meets skill and when you give something your complete attention. You can't fake your way into flow. It requires intention. To get there, protect your mental bandwidth. That means managing mental clutter. If your mind is filled with unfinished tasks, open loops and stress, it's hard to lock into focus. That's where brain dumps can help. Write down everything that's swirling in your mind, even if it's small or unrelated. Once it's on paper, your brain is free to focus on what matters. Energy management also plays a vital role. Focus isn't just about time, it's about energy. You might have 3 hours free, but if you're mentally or physically drained, your focus will be shallow. Protect your sleep, eat for brain clarity, not sugar crashes, and build in recovery time. Even the most focused minds need rest to stay sharp. And don't forget the power of saying no. Every yes you give to a low-priority task is a no to your highest calling. Focus isn't just a productivity strategy, it's a life strategy. It's the act of choosing what matters, again and again, in the face of endless distraction. At the end of the day, you won't be remembered for how many things you did. You'll be remembered for how well you did what mattered most. And that starts with focus. So, guard your attention like it's sacred, because it is. Greatness doesn't require more hours, it requires more focus. Let go of the noise, tune into what matters. That's how extraordinary lives are built. one focused moment at a time. Chapter 6. The habit loop of high achievers. When we look at successful people, it's tempting to focus on their big wins, the awards, the wealth, the headlines. But the real story lies behind the scenes, in the invisible routines and rituals they repeat, day after day. Success isn't built in bursts, it's built in loops, habit loops. And those who master them create unstoppable momentum. High achievers don't just rely on motivation or willpower, they design their lives around habits that align with their mindset. They don't wait to feel inspired. They act according to who they believe they are, and their habits reinforce that belief. This is the secret most people miss. It's not about setting bigger goals, it's about becoming the kind of person who naturally achieves them. And that starts with identity-based habits. One of the best real-life examples of this is James Clear, author of Atomic Habits. Before he became a best-selling writer and productivity expert, he was a young baseball player who suffered a devastating injury, a blow to the face with a bat that left him unconscious, with broken bones and serious trauma. His recovery was long and difficult. But instead of trying to make a massive comeback overnight, he focused on small, repeatable actions, micro-habits. He exercised regularly, ate clean, and slowly rebuilt his body and confidence. Over time, he began to understand something profound. Small habits, repeated consistently, reshape identity. This concept became the foundation of Atomic Habits, and more importantly, the foundation of his life. At the core of every habit is a loop, cue, routine, reward. You see or feel something, you respond in a certain way, and your brain receives a payoff. Over time, this loop becomes automatic. For example, your phone buzzes, you check it, you get a dopamine hit. That loop gets reinforced until it's second nature. High achievers use this same loop, only they do it on purpose. They design cues, structure their environment, and reward progress to reinforce the behaviors they want to build. But what makes their habits different is that they're identity-driven. They don't just say, "I want to write a book." They say, "I am a writer." They don't just aim to run a marathon. They say, "I am a runner." The habit is not just about the result. It's a reflection of who they believe they are. And this is where transformation begins, with identity. If you want to change your behavior long-term, don't start with the outcome. Start with who you want to become. Then ask, what would that kind of person do today? When your actions align with that identity, even in small ways, you begin to reinforce it. Bit by bit, belief becomes behavior, and behavior becomes your reality. Consistency is the key, not intensity. It's easy to sprint one day and crash the next. But true change is about showing up daily, even if it's just for 10 minutes. That small act, done repeatedly, creates the compounding effect. Think of habits like planting seeds. At first you see nothing, but beneath the surface, roots are growing. You water them, feed them, protect them. Days, weeks, or months later, that growth suddenly appears. What looked like an overnight success was actually months or years of invisible work. This is the power of compounding, where the effects of your effort multiply over time. 1% better each day doesn't feel like much, but over a year, it can make you 37 times better. That's the math of momentum. So how do you start building these mindset-driven, identity-based habits? Number 1. Start small. Shrink the habit until it feels too easy to skip. Want to write a book? Start by writing one sentence. Want to meditate daily? Begin with 1 minute. This lowers resistance and builds consistency. Number 2. Stack habits. Attach new habits to existing ones. For example, after I brush my teeth, I'll review my goals. This creates a strong mental link that anchors your new habit to an existing routine. Number 3. Track your progress. Whether it's a habit tracker, a journal, or a simple calendar checkmark, visual proof of your consistency boosts motivation and builds pride in your progress. Number 4. Design your environment. Make good habits easy and bad habits hard. Want to read more? Leave a book on your pillow. Want to stop checking your phone? Leave it in another room during focused work time. Number 5. Celebrate small wins. Each time you follow through, reinforce it with a small reward. Praise yourself. Take a deep breath. Feel proud. Over time, your brain begins to associate the habit with positivity and satisfaction. Remember, your life doesn't change when you get motivated. It changes when your daily actions start reflecting who you want to become. That change starts with one small habit, then another and another. High achievers don't rely on massive action. They rely on automatic action. Habits built with intention, repeated with consistency, rooted in identity. That's what creates sustainable success. So don't just aim for results. Aim to become the kind of person who naturally creates results. That's the power of the habit loop. That's how you build a life of greatness, one small intentional action at a time. Chapter 7. Fail forward. Reframing setbacks. Failure is a word that triggers discomfort, shame, and sometimes even fear. We've been taught to avoid it, to hide from it, and to take it as a sign that we're not good enough. But here's the truth. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. In fact, some of the most successful people in history have failed more times than others have even dared to try. What sets them apart isn't that they avoided failure, it's that they learned how to fail forward. When you shift your mindset around failure, you unlock one of the most powerful tools for personal growth and long-term success. Every setback carries a lesson. Every rejection builds resilience. Every misstep can become a stepping stone if you're willing to learn from it. But to do that, you must reframe failure, not as a dead end, but as a doorway. The role of failure in growth is often misunderstood. Most people see it as a sign to quit, or a reflection of their inadequacy. But failure is simply feedback. It's your results saying, not this way. Try another. When your mindset sees failure as a teacher instead of a threat, you take control. You stop attaching your identity to outcomes and start viewing challenges as part of the process. Look at Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before finally inventing the light bulb. When asked about his repeated failures, he responded, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's not just a clever quote, it's the mindset of a builder, an innovator, and a long-term thinker. Edison wasn't failing at something, he was learning through something. Or consider J.K. Rowling, who was jobless, a single mother, and living on welfare when she wrote the first Harry Potter book. She was rejected by 12 different publishers. Most people would have stopped after the first, maybe the second rejection. But she kept going. Today, her story is not just about magic and wizards, it's about resilience and belief in the face of repeated no's. Even Walt Disney, the man behind one of the most imaginative brands on earth, was once fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. He faced multiple business failures before eventually building the Disney empire. What kept him going? A mindset that saw failure as a detour, not a definition. So how do you begin to adopt this mindset in your own life? It starts by removing the stigma. Failure doesn't mean you're broken, it means you're bold. It means you tried something others only thought about. You left your comfort zone. You acted. That alone is progress. Then turn the emotion of failure into fuel. Rejection often triggers shame or embarrassment, but those emotions are just signals. Ask yourself, what can I learn here? What worked? What didn't? What would I do differently next time? These questions turn pain into progress and keep you focused on growth instead of regret. One mindset hack that helps is to detach the event from your identity. You are not your failure. You are the person who experienced a failure, and those are two very different things. When you fail, it doesn't mean you are a failure. It means you found one way that didn't work. That's data, and data leads to improvement. Another way to reframe setbacks is to build a failure resume. Instead of hiding your failures, list them. Every job you didn't get, every launch that didn't succeed, every time things didn't go as planned. Then next to each one, write what you learned or how it made you stronger. You'll start to see failure not as a blemish, but as your most powerful form of training. It's also important to normalize the messy middle. Every journey has a point where quitting seems easier than continuing. Every person who achieves something worthwhile has faced setbacks that felt like the end, but they kept going. They failed forward. That means failing with intention, using each fall as a push in the right direction. Don't chase failure, but don't fear it either. View it as a necessary part of building grit. When you fall into your future, not away from it. Get curious. Get creative. Get committed. Your setbacks are shaping you into someone who's not just capable of success, but worthy of it. And remember, the world often only sees the finished product, the gold medal, the best-selling book, the $1 million company. But what you don't see is the mountain of quiet failures beneath the surface. That's where greatness is really built. In the attempts that didn't work, in the ideas that didn't land, in the moments no one else saw. You don't have to be fearless to move forward. You just have to be willing to try again, willing to grow through the pain, willing to believe that failure is not a wall, it's a path. In the end, success doesn't go to the person who avoids failure. It goes to the one who embraces it, learns from it, and keeps going anyway. That's the power of failing forward. That's the mindset of a high achiever. And that's the mindset that will carry you all the way to your goals. Chapter 8. The influence of environment on mindset. There's an old saying, if you want to change your life, change your environment. That may sound simple, but few truths are more powerful. Our mindset is not shaped in isolation. It's constantly being influenced by the people, places, and inputs we surround ourselves with. Whether you realize it or not, your environment is either working for you or against you. It's either reinforcing the person you want to become, or it's keeping you stuck in old cycles. Your environment doesn't just mean the physical space you occupy. It includes the conversations you hear, the energy of the people around you, the content you consume, and even the expectations of the groups you belong to. These factors shape your focus, your self-belief, your emotional state, and even your ambition. That's why being intentional about your surroundings isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for growth. Think about it. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt drained, even though no one said a word? Or maybe you've spent time with someone who left you feeling energized, inspired, and ready to take on the world. That's the invisible power of environment. It's not just the air you breathe, it's the energy you absorb. One of the most influential voices on this topic is Oprah Winfrey. From her earliest days, long before she became a media powerhouse, she spoke openly about the importance of curating her circle. Oprah didn't wait until she was rich and successful to be mindful of her environment. She practiced this discipline early on, when her confidence was still fragile and her future uncertain. She surrounded herself with people who believed in her, challenged her, and inspired her. She actively distanced herself from drama, gossip, and anyone who drained her energy. That wasn't ego, it was wisdom. Oprah has often said, surround yourself only with people who are going to lift you higher, and it's a principle she lives by. This kind of environmental awareness is what allows someone to protect their mindset even in the most challenging moments. She didn't just build a life, she built an environment that made her vision inevitable. So how do you begin curating your own environment for growth? First, audit your surroundings. Look at the people you interact with most, the content you consume, and the spaces you live and work in. Ask yourself honestly, do these things energize or deplete me? Do they encourage clarity, focus, and creativity? Or do they pull me into distraction and negativity? Start with people. Relationships are mirrors. The people you spend the most time with shape your sense of normal. If your closest circle is complacent, complaining, or afraid of growth, that energy will influence you, no matter how strong you think your mindset is. But if your circle is curious, ambitious, and committed to bettering themselves, that energy becomes contagious. You rise to the level of your environment. Upgrading your relationships doesn't always mean cutting people off. Sometimes it means shifting the frequency of certain interactions, setting boundaries, or finding new sources of connection. Join communities or groups where growth is the norm. Seek out mentors. Read the words of thinkers who challenge your assumptions. Your circle doesn't have to be big. It has to be intentional. Next, examine your physical space, your home, your office, your car. These spaces are either encouraging productivity and peace, or they're contributing to stress and mental clutter. A messy room can lead to a scattered mind. A bright, clean workspace can boost clarity and creativity. You don't need luxury, you need order. Create zones that support your focus, rest, and routines. Light a candle when you write. Add a plant to your desk. Play calming music when you reflect. These are small tweaks that send big signals to your brain about what kind of state you're in, and don't overlook your digital environment. We now live more of our lives online than ever before, and your feed is shaping your mind in real time. What you consume on social media, YouTube and podcasts becomes mental nutrition. Is it healthy? Is it enriching? Or is it keeping you stuck in comparison, outrage, and overload? Follow fewer people, but follow better people. Curate your inputs. Make your feed a source of learning, not a source of anxiety. Equally important is the art of intentional solitude. While community is vital, so is time alone, the right kind of alone. Solitude isn't loneliness. It's a sacred space where you reconnect with your own thoughts, values, and inner compass. Without it, your mindset becomes reactive, shaped by other people's opinions and noise. With it, you begin to hear your own voice again. Make solitude part of your daily environment. That could mean morning journaling, silent walks, or simply sitting in stillness for 10 minutes. In that quiet, your most authentic insights will emerge. You'll begin to notice what you've been ignoring and what you truly care about. Then, return to the world and choose your community with intention. Real growth doesn't happen in isolation forever. It happens in aligned environments, spaces where you can be vulnerable, challenged, and supported all at once. Find your people. They're out there. People who believe in growth, who celebrate progress, who speak the language of possibility. If you don't yet have that kind of community around you, build it. Start with one person. Join a forum, attend a workshop, send a message. Growth-minded people are always looking for others like them. When you begin to show up with that energy, you'll start to attract it. Your environment is either planting seeds of doubt or seeds of confidence. It's either distracting you from your mission or pulling you deeper into it. You don't rise above your environment. You adapt to it. That's how powerful it is. So build an environment that reflects your goals, your values, and your future self. Let your space reflect who you are becoming, not just who you've been. Let your relationships elevate you. Let your inputs inspire you. Let your solitude clarify you. Because when you master your environment, you create conditions where success is no longer something you force. It becomes something that grows naturally. And that is when mindset meets momentum. Curate your world, and your mind will follow. And when your mind is aligned with your environment, the results take care of themselves. This is the hidden influence most people overlook. But now you see it, and you can begin to use it. Your surroundings are speaking to your mind every day. Make sure they're saying something empowering. Chapter 9. The mind-body connection to peak performance. We often think of mental strength as something that lives entirely in our minds, a function of willpower, focus, and emotional control. But what if the key to unlocking your sharpest thinking, deepest clarity, and most resilient mindset wasn't just in your brain, but in your body? Welcome to the reality of the mind-body connection. A truth that high performers across all fields understand and live by. Your physical state directly impacts your mental state. The health of your body shapes the quality of your thoughts, your focus, your discipline, and your ability to handle stress. If you want to master your mind, you must also take care of the vessel that carries it. Mental clarity, emotional stability, creativity, resilience. These are not just traits of a strong mind, they are also the byproducts of a healthy body. Peak performance doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when your physical and mental systems are aligned, supporting each other, feeding each other. Let's start with something as basic, but as underrated, as sleep. In a world that glorifies hustle and grind, sleep is often dismissed as a luxury. But the truth is, sleep is the foundation of mental clarity. A single night of poor sleep can reduce your focus, impair your memory, lower your emotional regulation, and decrease your decision-making ability. Chronic sleep deprivation, it leads to brain fog, burnout, depression, and even cognitive decline. When you sleep, your brain goes into recovery mode. It cleans itself. It files away memories. It restores hormonal balance. It resets your emotional circuits. You literally wake up smarter. That's why top athletes, CEOs, and creatives prioritize their sleep like it's sacred, because it is. If you're serious about peak performance, guard your sleep like your goals depend on it, because they do. Aim for consistency, not just quantity. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. Keep screens away for an hour before bed. Create a cool, dark, quiet environment. Build a pre-sleep routine that signals your body it's time to shut down. You're not weak for needing rest. You're wise for respecting your body's rhythm. Then there's nutrition, another pillar of mental strength that's often overlooked. Your brain is only 2% of your body weight, but it consumes over 20% of your energy. And that energy comes from the food you eat. If you fuel your brain with junk, sugar, processed foods, empty calories, it's like putting low-grade fuel into a high-performance engine. The result? Crashes, mood swings, fatigue, and fog. But when you nourish your body with whole foods, healthy fats, clean protein, and lots of hydration, you feed your brain the ingredients it needs to perform at its best. Nutrients like omega-3 fatty acids, magnesium, B vitamins, and antioxidants are crucial for mood regulation, cognitive function, and neural health. A healthy gut, often called the second brain, also plays a huge role in mental clarity and emotional stability. This doesn't mean you have to eat perfectly. It means you eat consciously. Make 80% of your diet fuel for the mind and body. Reduce the processed, the artificial, the excessive caffeine and sugar. Treat food as information, because that's what it is. Every bite you take is sending a message to your brain about how to function. Make that message a powerful one. Then there's movement, not just for fitness, but for focus. Exercise is one of the most effective ways to reset your brain, regulate your emotions, and stimulate mental clarity. Regular physical activity increases blood flow to the brain, promotes the release of endorphins and dopamine, reduces stress hormones like cortisol, and even stimulates neurogenesis, the creation of new brain cells. You don't need to be an athlete to benefit from this. You just need to move daily. A brisk walk, a yoga session, a few sets of bodyweight exercises, dancing, stretching. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. Movement keeps your body alive and your mind alert, and the link goes even deeper. There's a science behind how your posture and physiology influence your mindset. When you slouch, breathe shallowly, and stay sedentary for hours, your body sends signals to your brain that you're in a low energy, defensive, or even depressed state. But when you stand tall, breathe deeply, move with intention, and engage your muscles, you activate a different mental state, one of confidence, action, and clarity. This is called embodied cognition. The idea that your body doesn't just reflect your thoughts, it shapes them. In other words, you can move your way into a better mindset. Your physiology influences your psychology. That's why power poses, deep breathing, cold showers, and high-energy workouts can immediately shift your mood and mindset. They bypass overthinking and tap directly into your nervous system. They remind your brain that you are capable, alive, and in control. High performers use this to their advantage. When they feel anxious, they move. When they feel stuck, they breathe. When they feel unfocused, they stretch or go for a run. They don't wait to feel better. They act their way into a better state. This is especially important when facing challenges. When your body is strong, energized, and grounded, you're more resilient. You don't just react to stress, you respond to it. You recover faster. You make better decisions. You stay composed under pressure. That's not just mental toughness. That's the result of a well-regulated body. Another powerful element of the mind-body connection is routine. Your body loves rhythm. When you wake, eat, move, and rest on a consistent schedule, your body and brain begin to work in harmony. Hormones stabilize. Mood improves. Energy becomes predictable. You eliminate mental friction and free up willpower for bigger tasks. That's why morning routines are so powerful. They aren't just motivational, they're biological alignment tools. A morning that includes hydration, movement, sunlight, and mindful reflection sets your body and brain on the same frequency. You start your day on purpose, not in chaos. But perhaps the most important mindset shift of all is this: your body is not separate from your goals. It's not something you deal with while you try to succeed. It's the engine that drives your success. You don't just need a strong mind, you need the physical capacity to sustain focus, navigate setbacks, and stay calm under pressure. That capacity is built in the kitchen, in your sleep, in the gym, and in your movement throughout the day. Don't underestimate the compound effect of taking care of your body. Every hour of good sleep, every nutrient-rich meal, every walk you take, it's not just helping your health, it's sharpening your mind. It's increasing your odds of thinking clearly, acting courageously, and staying consistent. Peak performance is holistic. The best thinkers move, the best leaders rest, the most disciplined minds fuel their bodies like machines built for greatness. So if you want to perform at your highest level, don't just train your mindset, train your body to support it. They are partners, not opponents. And when both are aligned, you unlock a level of energy, clarity, and resilience that few ever experience. The mind and body are not two separate systems. They are one powerful machine, and when treated with intention, they become unstoppable. Take care of the body, sharpen the mind, and rise to your potential, not through burnout, but through balance. That's the path to true, lasting peak performance. Chapter 10. Becoming unstoppable. Living with a winning mentality. What does it really mean to become unstoppable? Not invincible, not immune to pain or failure, but truly, deeply unshakable in your pursuit of excellence. It means becoming the kind of person who doesn't just chase success, but who is shaped by a purpose so deep, a fire so steady, that no setback can break them and no success can distract them. To be unstoppable is to live with a winning mentality, a way of thinking and being that fuels long-term greatness. This mindset isn't just about working hard, it's about working right. It's about building a foundation of patience, purpose, and inner fire that makes your progress inevitable. It's about zooming out to the long game, knowing that true mastery, real legacy, and deep fulfillment don't come from short sprints, but from consistent, intentional effort over time. One of the greatest modern examples of this mindset is the late Kobe Bryant, whose legendary Mamba mentality became a symbol of relentless preparation, mental sharpness, and hunger for growth. For Kobe, the game was never just about basketball. It was about excellence, discipline, and pushing the limits of what was possible. His focus was so intense, his standards so high, that teammates, opponents, and fans alike were pulled into his orbit. He didn't just want to win games, he wanted to become the best version of himself, day after day. That's what it means to live with a winning mentality. Kobe's Mamba mentality was built on 4 pillars: obsessive preparation, total focus, resilience in the face of setbacks, and an unbreakable commitment to growth. He didn't wait for game day to get serious. His workouts began at 4 a.m., his diet, his sleep, his recovery, his mental rehearsal. Everything was part of the mission. He wasn't training for the next game. He was training for legacy. This is the essence of the long game mindset. You don't just focus on what you want now. You focus on who you want to be forever. That requires patience, not passive waiting, but active endurance. A commitment to show up every day, even when the results aren't immediate. It means trusting the process when the world isn't watching, when no one is applauding, and when you're still far from the finish line. In today's fast-paced, instant gratification culture, patience is almost revolutionary. We want overnight success, viral fame, instant rewards, but real achievement doesn't work that way. Success that lasts is built, not bought. It's the result of showing up when it's hard, staying steady when others quit, and believing in your direction even when the destination is still miles away. Purpose is the second pillar of a winning mentality. Without it, effort feels empty. With it, even the most exhausting days feel meaningful. Purpose gives your work weight. It transforms discipline into devotion. When your goals are rooted in something deeper than money, status, or external validation, when they come from a place of contribution, meaning, and self-respect, your fire becomes self-sustaining. The most powerful force behind consistency isn't pressure, it's passion with purpose. Not passion as excitement, but passion as devotion to the craft, to the mission, to the person you're becoming. That kind of purpose-driven fire doesn't burn out easily. It becomes your compass, guiding you through storms and setbacks. Still, even the most driven people can face burnout if they don't learn how to manage their energy. The key to staying consistent without burning out is rhythm, not just hustle. It's knowing when to sprint and when to rest. It's building routines that are sustainable, not just impressive. It's understanding that recovery is part of high performance. Kobe Bryant trained obsessively, but he also prioritized sleep, recovery, and mental wellness. He understood that greatness isn't about grinding yourself into the ground, it's about optimizing your performance over time. Burnout doesn't happen because you're weak. It happens when you ignore your limits, disconnect from your purpose, and forget to renew yourself. The winning mentality is not about endless output. It's about intentional effort, followed by intentional restoration. Whether that's through sleep, solitude, nature, stillness, or creativity, recharging is not a reward for work done. It's a requirement for work that lasts. To live with a winning mentality also means developing your own personal success philosophy, a set of guiding beliefs and values that shape how you show up in life. It's your internal playbook. It keeps you grounded when you're winning, and it lifts you when you're struggling. Your success philosophy might include principles like discipline over motivation, progress over perfection, show up, no matter what, win the day, not just the year. Be the hardest worker in the room, quietly. These aren't just slogans, they're anchors. They give your mindset structure. They remind you who you are and what you're committed to, even when the path gets blurry. Write your philosophy down. Refine it. Revisit it. When doubt creeps in, let it become your internal compass, because life will test your mindset. You'll face moments of fatigue, fear, and frustration. In those moments, your success philosophy isn't just helpful, it's vital. Part of becoming unstoppable also means accepting that obstacles aren't detours, they're the path. The winning mentality doesn't just survive adversity, it is forged by it. Challenges are how you build resilience. Discomfort is how you sharpen your edge. Setbacks are how you learn what you're really made of. When Kobe tore his Achilles in 2013, a career-threatening injury, he didn't just rehab his body, he trained his mind. He studied the game with more intensity. He came back stronger, not because his body was flawless, but because his mentality was unbreakable. You can train this in your own life. Every time you're rejected, every time you fall short, every time something takes longer than expected, you have two choices. Let it weaken your spirit, or let it strengthen your resolve. The winning mentality chooses the second option, every single time. Another trait of the unstoppable mindset is humility paired with hunger. You believe in your greatness, but you never think you've arrived. You celebrate wins, but you stay hungry for growth. You stay coachable. You stay curious. This is the paradox of high achievement. The more you grow, the more you realize how much more there is to learn. Kobe was relentless on the court, but he was also a student of the game. He studied legends. He asked questions. He watched hours of film. After retirement, he became a mentor, creator, and educator. The Mamba mentality didn't end when his basketball career did. It evolved. That's what it means to live with growth as your default setting. And finally, to become unstoppable, you must learn to define success on your own terms, not society's version, not your friend's version, your version. What does fulfillment look like to you? What legacy do you want to leave behind? What kind of person do you want to be remembered as? The winning mentality isn't about chasing someone else's dream. It's about honoring your own, and when you're rooted in that level of clarity, you become impossible to knock off course. You'll face distractions, critics, comparison. But when your vision is personal, your fuel is internal, and your philosophy is clear, nothing outside of you can shake what's inside you. Becoming unstoppable doesn't mean never falling. It means always rising. It means having a mindset so tuned into growth, so aligned with purpose, so resilient under pressure, that even when you break, you rebuild stronger. This is the final piece of the puzzle. Not just mastering your habits, beliefs, focus, or emotions, but building a mentality of greatness. A mindset that doesn't peak when conditions are perfect, but one that persists regardless of conditions. That's what separates those who get results once from those who keep rising for decades. Not luck, not talent, but a relentless, clear, and purpose-driven mindset that becomes your way of life. So don't just chase success, become it. Become the kind of person who shows up relentlessly, improves endlessly, and inspires others by how you live. Let your work speak. Let your effort echo. Let your story remind the world what's possible when someone chooses to live with the fire of a winning mentality. That's how you become unstoppable. Not through hype, through habits. Not through noise, through discipline. Not through shortcuts, through vision. And when you live this way, not just for days or weeks, but for years, you don't just win, you change the game. As we come to the end of this journey, take a deep breath and sit with one truth. You've always had the power. Now you have the awareness. The strength you need to create the life you desire was never outside of you. It wasn't in someone else's approval, in luck, or in perfect circumstances. It has always lived within your mind, waiting for you to notice it, to nurture it, and to take control of it. Throughout this audiobook, you've taken a bold step. You didn't just listen, you leaned in. You chose to question old patterns, to reframe failure, to protect your focus, to discipline your emotions, and to shape an identity that aligns with your highest self. You've done more than absorb information. You've awakened the quiet power that was already inside you. This is your moment to celebrate, because choosing growth is no small thing. In a world that encourages shortcuts, distractions, and surface-level success, you chose to go deeper. You chose to build something that lasts. A mindset that serves you not just today, but for a lifetime. Now the work continues, but from a place of clarity and strength. Master your mindset daily. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the perfect time. Make it a practice. Feed your mind what it needs. Surround yourself with the right energy. Reflect often. Move with purpose. And most importantly, return to the truth that your power is always within reach. One intentional thought, one disciplined action at a time. You don't need to rush. You don't need to force. When you align your mindset with your purpose, success becomes a natural result. It follows you not because you chase it, but because you've become the kind of person it's drawn to. That's the shift. That's the transformation. So go forward with this truth carved into your heart. Success isn't something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. You have the power. You have the awareness. And now you have the responsibility to use both. Let the journey continue, not just as a goal but as a way of life. One thought, one choice, one day at a time. You are the secret weapon behind your own success. Keep mastering your mindset. The rest will follow.